All right. The rest of the day.
Christmas has come once more to earth. Light in our hearts, the light of hope. Let us remember that the great and the holy may be found in unlikely and unaccustomed places, and that from humble beginnings, a child may come who carries the seeds of greatness, and of a great light. Help us remember that in each one of us burns the unquenchable and eternal light, which lights everyone who comes into the world.
Trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun and the rising of the day. The playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears the blossoms, sweet as any flower.
If we fill our lives with things, and yet more things, if we feel that we must fill every moment we have with activity, when will we have the time to make the long, slow journey across the burning desert, as did the wise men, or sit and watch the stars, as did the shepherds, or ponder the coming of a child, as did Mary? For each of us, there is a desert to travel, a star to discover and follow, and a being within ourselves to bring to life. Will you rise as you are able and join us in singing our opening carol, O Come All Ye Faithful?
This is a reading from Luke. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And all went to be taxed, every one of his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished, that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And they were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in the swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. Please rise as you are able to join us in singing the first Noel.
Thank you.
Shepherd's Song at Christmas by Langston Hughes. Look there at the star. I, among the least, will arise and take a journey to the east. But what shall I bring as a present for the king? What shall I bring to the manger? I will bring a song that I will sing in the manger. Watch out for my flocks. Do not let them stray. I am going on a journey far, far away. But what shall I bring as a present for the child? What shall I bring to the manger? I will bring a lamb, gentle, meek, and mild, a lamb for the child in the manger. I'm just a shepherd boy. Very poor I am, but I know there is a king in Bethlehem. What shall I bring as a present just for him? What shall I bring to the manger? I will bring my heart and give my heart to him. I will bring my heart to the manger.
There is no rose of such virtue as is the rose that bare Jesus. There is no rose of such virtue as is the rose that bare Jesus. Alleluia. There is no rose of such virtue as is the rose that bare Jesus. For in this rose contained was heaven and earth in little space. Rest we There is no rose of such virtue as is the rose that bare Jesus. The angels sung the shepherds too. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gaudeamus. There is no rose of such virtue as is the rose that bare Jesus.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and we have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from whom shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel? Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that had been seen at its rising, until it was stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Please rise as you are able and join us in singing "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
For so the children come, and so they have been coming, always the same way they come, born of the seed of a man and a woman. No angels herald their beginnings. No prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers sitting beside their children's crib feel glory in the sight of new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end? Or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping.
Our reading tonight is Let Us Be That Stable by Patrick Murphin. Today, let us be that stable. Let us be the place that welcomes at last the weary and rejected, the pilgrim stranger, the coming life. Let not the frigid winds that pierce our inadequate walls or our mildewed hay or the fetid leavings of our cattle shame us from our becoming. Let our outstretched arms be a manger so that the infant hope, swaddled in love, may have a place to lie. Let a cold beacon shine down upon us from a solstice sky to guide to us the seekers who will come. Let the lowly shepherd and all who abide in the fields of their labors lay down their crux and come to us. Let the seers, sages, and potentates of every land traverse the shifting dunes, the rushing rivers, and the stony crags to seek our rude frame. Let the herdsmen and high lords kneel together under our thatched roof to lay their gifts before wonder. Today, let us be that stable. Please rise as you are able and join us in Joy to the World.
King Herod was a schemer. He heard tell that there were wise men traveling in a foreign land from the east who were looking for the king of the Jews. They were following a star. They knew it foretold the birth of someone important, but they didn't know where their road would lead. And so they followed the star as they passed through Jerusalem, the land of Herod. Now the local scribes and priests already knew the biblical prophecy that the king of the Jews would be born in Bethlehem, for this was the birthplace of the great King David and was destined to bring forth the long-awaited Messiah. So when King Herod knew that the Magi had heard about the birth of the future king, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem was frightened with him. Herod thought that he was the king of the Jews, and now there might be foreigners coming to tell him that he might be replaced, and not just by anyone, but by a baby born in the middle of nowhere, the tiny village of Bethlehem. Well, no wonder Herod was frightened. A man who loves the power of the throne would not be happy to hear that he was about to be usurped by someone born in poverty. Herod had the throne because his father had it before him. There was a way power was supposed to be passed on, and giving up power to a nobody from the other side of the tracks was not something Herod was willing to do. So he schemed. He called for the Magi. They came to him and shared their wisdom in knowing the exact time that the star appeared. For an astrologer, this was big news, for the stars were portents of wisdom and worldly knowledge. Knowing the secrets of the stars gave Herod even more power. Then came the big lie. For Herod was a wicked ruler who ruled by scheming and might. He was a liar who told people what they thought they needed to hear and then did exactly what he wanted to do. He said to the Magi, "Go, search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, Bring me word so that I may go and pay homage. He wasn't planning to pay anyone homage. He had murder in his heart. And so the Magi traveled to Bethlehem, following the star until it stopped over the stable. They knew what they were supposed to do. They knew that they were guests in Herod's land, and they should have respect for the political leaders and obey the laws. They knew they were supposed to return to Herod, disclose the baby's location, and continue on their way home. But something happened there in the stable. Something happened to make them change their minds. So imagine this scene with me, if you will. Riding on their camels, these important scholars had traveled for weeks in search of an important person. Perhaps they expected to find a wealthy home, a child in comfort surrounded by servants. Perhaps they thought they would meet other impressive types paying homage to the child, that they might have some scholarly discussions of the finer points of astrological wisdom, a bit of star talk with their fellow researchers. But no, they found a simple stable with animals surrounding the manger. Kneeling in wonder there were no fancy people, no tycoons of industry, no politicians, no Armani suits and alligator shoes. They were simple working people, dressed in their normal attire, shepherds fresh from the fields, who had been called to this sacred place by heavenly voices proclaiming the birth. And remember, these simple shepherds were assured that what they were about to experience was not for the rich and powerful alone. The angel told them that the good tidings of great joy would be for all people, including them. And so the Magi enter the simple stable, and they are stripped of their preconceptions. They are not in elegant company. They are with simple country folks. And yet it was here that the star had stopped. It was in this simple place where animals and shepherds sat together, where Mary laid her newborn child. They were filled with joy when that star stopped, and the joy allowed them to see something they had never seen before. They, the rich, wise men from the east, were suddenly on equal footing with the shepherds. Instead of being in a place of power, they swung down from their camels and they knelt in homage. And in kneeling, they became equal with the other people there, united in homage to a simple child born to simple people. They were overwhelmed with the power of love. And after giving their gifts, the Magi knew that they had been transformed by this experience. They were no better and no worse than anyone else in that small stable. And perhaps they realized that their power is not defined by wealth or by class or by anything else that separates one person from another. It was just the opposite. Their power came from the collective power of people across the barriers of race and class, joined together in worship of that which is greater than all of us. They learned that the power of love is stronger than the love of power. And so, fortified by this new sense of power with each other, they knew they could no longer bow to the power of Herod. They could not collude with a schemer, and so they went back to their home by another road. Our faith calls us to believe that the power of love is stronger than the love of power. If we are to find ways to not give in to the love of power, there are choices before us. Sometimes those choices might mean that we must choose another road to travel. What would that look like for you? My friends, in this sacred season of the year, we celebrate the Incarnation. We look for the divine spark in every person, for the holy light in each other's eyes. And we believe that the love which binds us together is stronger than the powers which seek to pull us apart. This is a time in our country when we are keenly aware that the love of power is a mesmerizing force. We are constantly being told who has power, who needs power, what we should do to optimize someone's power. But the story of the Magi teaches us that power with is greater than power over. We each have it within ourselves when we connect to the strength our faith gives us to choose the road of love. That takes courage. You know that. But here in this sanctuary of hopes and dreams, we choose to work for a world in which the power of love will be stronger than the love of power. When you are faced with the difficult choices which arise in our lives, may you, like the Magi, choose to travel by another road. Amen, and blessed be.
Christmas is a festival of giving and sharing. The gifts of Christmas are the gifts of life itself and of love, which makes life possible. They are the gifts of song, of grace and beauty, the gifts of sharing the best of ourselves with those we love. This is a season of generosity, knowing that others are hungry and homeless and aware of the many blessings that have come our way. Let us now receive our offering in support of the pastor's discretionary fund, so that we may be equipped to share our gifts with those in need.
Amen.
Will you join with me in prayer? To the one who has called us out of the wilderness into this marvelous light of life and love, we turn for help in finding our way through the noise and turmoil of these days to the true meaning of Christmas, to its quiet joy and to its peace. Let us open our hearts to this season and to all the hope that stands against a broken world. Open us wide enough for gentleness in the midst of life that is sometimes bitter and harsh. Show us how close we are to what we seek, and how often the things we want most are already ours, if we will only open our hearts to them. Teach us that we cannot hear the songs of faith until our hearts learn to sing them, and that the most important gifts which we can give to one another cannot be wrapped and put under a tree. Help us to be brave enough to hope and dream, and guide us in our search through doubt until we find faith that knows no place or season, until we learn at last that though the very stars may wander, there is that within us which never need lose its way. Amen. And now I invite you to find your candle, to remember that when you pass light, that you hold the candle upright, and when you receive light, you dip it. Safety is a good thing for us in this ancient space. Let us be still in the darkness of our sacred space and listen to the quiet around us. For even in the quiet, there is the gentle being with others. Let us feel the warmth of our community, knowing we are not alone. For in the quiet shadow is the glow of life within all. Let us know in the darkness the gift each candle bears, a small flame, a diminutive light, and yet the wondrous gift to kindle another's glow. Let us be in awe at this moment as we each take up the flame and the light envelops the room, as hope for peace and goodwill fill this night, this beautiful, silent night. Now you are invited to extinguish your candle and follow the choir out the back of the sanctuary. Please come to the church steps where we will light our candles again and sing carols of joy in the winter night. Please take out your yellow insert with the hymn texts and leave the bulletins in your pews. Bring your coats with you. Our closing words were written in 1591 by Fra Giovanni. No heaven can come to us unless our hearts find rest in it today. Take heaven. No peace lies in the future which is not hidden in this present little instant. Take peace. The gloom of the world is but a shadow. Behind it, yet within our reach, is joy. There is radiance and glory in darkness, could we but see. And to see, we have only to look. I beseech you to look.